And welcome back to the channel, everybody. And today we're going to be doing my AEW review. I'm going to get this done as quickly as I can here because I almost forgot AEW was on today. So I watched as much as the show as I could. I was able to get through all of it. So I'm able to give you guys my quick opinions real quick on everything that transpired. So, the show kicked off with Hangman Page thanking everyone who helped him in the battle against the Death Riders, even Swerve. And he says that he also, at the end of the promo, he explained he basically said he is the champion of the effing world. So, nice little cool moment for Hangman. Great to see him as the champion. He truly deserved it. He truly deserved to be the guy to beat Moxley. And he's also gone back to his old music. He had before he had his music when he had this other music before, but now he's gone back to a different song. So Kyle Fletcher would take on Mascara Dorado and defeat him. And Kyle Fletcher's on the hunt for the TNT Championship. He still wants to win it. And I honestly think he still should. I think he still should be the guy that wins the title. It's just, I just hope it comes soon, because not really the biggest fan of Dustin Rhodes holding on to the title. I truly believe that if Adam Cole didn't get injured, I'm pretty sure they would have had Kyle Fletcher win. But, we can't predict what would have happened if something didn't happen. But it is what it is. What happened, and it's things like this that we can't change. But overall, good little match here. I'm glad Fletcher won. And I am hoping he still does eventually become TNT champion. The AEW locker room begin to laugh and make fun of the Young Bucks, because they're no longer EVPs. They no longer need to be told what to do. And Renee Young even took a jab at them, and they basically called her rude for making fun of them. If I were the Young Bucks, I would have retorted back to them by saying, hey, at least your husband got choked out and lost his world title. I think that would have been a good retort back to Renee. But, they're just selling how pissed off they are that they're no longer EVPs, and all that. So everyone's just laughing and making fun of them that they're no longer in charge. Even Marina Shafir didn't acknowledge them anymore because, they said hi to her and she just ignored them. So, yeah, so basically because they lost their jobs as EVPs, no one is stopping to listen to them anymore. So they're all pissed about it. And Don Callis wanted to cheer them up. MJF, with a pre-recorded promo that took place at All In, he basically threatened Hangman Page, telling him that he could use his contract to take the title from him. He even said he doesn't even need to use it to beat him, but he ends it by saying that he's the best, and also basically tells him that if you're the main character, I'm the villain I am the villain. So that's pretty good. The Young Bucks and the Don Callis family take on Brody King, Jet Speed, and Bandito, and the heels ultimately win. The Bucks and the Don Callis family get the victory there. And I'm not the biggest fan of these kinds of tag team matches, but hey, AEW really like running them, so it is what it is. But decent little match. Adam Copeland. I guess they're no longer calling him Cope anymore, so I guess that's a good thing at least. At least they've realized calling him Cope just sounds really stupid, and they're just letting him use his real name again. He comes out and he speaks about Christian. He said that he didn't go out there to save him. He says he calls him a jerk, an asshole, and all that stuff. Goes over what Christian tried to do to him and all that. But the main reason why he came back at All In was to get his hands on FTR. The former Malcolm Bivens, because I recognized him because he used to manage Diamond Mine and the Creed brothers, comes out. He's now FTR's manager, and he basically tells Edge that if you try to get your hands on FTR or interfere in any way in any of their matches, you're going to be fired. Because he was explaining that that people were complaining about his behavior at All In. So he also had a bunch of security guards with him, and he was also getting booed like he was Dominic Mysterio because the fans were really booing over the top of him. They were telling him to shut the F up and all that. But Adam basically responds by saying that, well, since I can't put my hands on FTR, you didn't say anything about me putting my hands on you. So Copeland then just proceeds to beat up his security and spear him. So yeah, not really a whole lot to say about that. I can't say I care for Edge, but hey, you guys know me. I've really no longer really cared much for Edge anymore in the modern times. He's just another one of those guys. I just wish if he either just stayed retired or at least show that he's willing to help out the younger generation and give back to them since they're more important than people like him. But, he's not the kind of guy to really elevate people. Mark Briscoe talks about MJF. Not really a whole lot to mention about this. Not really a whole lot to mention about this. He just basically says that he'll make MJF pay for his sins and all that. Tekla, Queen Abinata, Willow Nightingale, and Chris Statlander in a $100,000 fatal 4-way. I have no idea what the money is for, but okay. So she wins So Tekla wins $100K. I don't know what the money's for, but okay. So she wins So she just won $100K in a fatal 4-way, and she had the help from Sky Blue and Julia Hart. So it sounds like the three of them will be forming some kind of faction. Nick Wayne explains why he turned on Christian, and Mother Wayne and the other guy Kip also brought their side of it. But Nick Wayne basically said that he's basically washed. He hit his expiry date and all that. That's just basically all he really explained. That it's like, well, he hit his expiry date and his services were no longer required, basically. And Nick Wayne talks about how he's 20 years old. And Christian made fun of him because he's never been a world champion, but because Nick Wayne is like 20 years old, he basically said, you should be asking me how many titles am I going to win and all that. Well, here's the thing. Christian's only won 2 world titles in his entire wrestling career. Well, 3 if you count the ECW title, and I guess if you really want to count the TNA title, I guess that's technically 4. So... But 4 world titles Christian's actually technically won if you count the other 2. But if you don't count them, he's only been a 2-time world champion. But yeah, Nick Wayne basically saying he's the future of TNT and AEW because he's only 20 years old and he's like the youngest Ring of Honor. I'm not sure what title he has. I'm guessing it's the television title. He's got a title from Ring of Honor and he bragged about being the youngest champion of that particular title. Toni Storm had her promo. She praised Mercedes Money, or Mercedes Money, as she just called her, which was a bit hilarious. And she doesn't know what's next for her. But she's ready for anyone or anything. And then Athena interrupts on the Titantron screen by basically saying that I took out your friend Mina Shirakawa because she stepped foot in her ring of Ring of Honor, and saying she's the forever Ring of Honor champion, and she proceeds to threaten Tony on using her Casino Battle Royal cash-in on her when the time is right. And so Tony says that she'll be ready for her when that time comes. So I was kind of surprised that Mercedes was not on the show at all. I was a little bit bummed out she wasn't, because I thought like maybe they could have, had a backstage interview with her where she reacts to her loss, and maybe she's too pissed off to answer, or something. I don't know. I was a little bit disappointed. That Mercedes wasn't there, but I guess we'll have plenty of time to see where she goes from here. But yeah, so Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné also became the longest women's match in women's wrestling. It's now set the record of the longest women's match in AEW history. So Toni and Mercedes even beat Mercedes' last match, which was the Chris Statlander match. So basically, they now hold the record of the longest women's match in AEW history. And honestly, they deserve that honor. It was a great match. Yeah, really nothing bad I can say. It was just a fantastic match overall. And Toni even said that she's more than happy to rematch Mercedes again if she wants to have another crack at Toni Storm. Okada calls out Swerve for costing and taking the Young Bucks' jobs because as I mentioned before, the Young Bucks no longer are the EVPs. So he calls them out and basically calls him a bitch for taking his job, for taking away their jobs. Swerve comes out and just responds by saying, "What are you gonna do about it, bitch?" And short and sweet there. Short and sweet segment there. Not a whole lot to really mention. So Swerve is going to be feuding with the new AEW Unified Champion in Okada. Hangman, Briscoe, and Hobbs took on the Death Riders in the main event of Moxley, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta in the main event, and the babyfaces win the match with Hangman pinning Claudio to win the match. And Darby Allin was also watching on as well. He was in the background watching on and all that. So yeah, not a whole lot to really say. Again, as I mentioned, I was getting this done quickly as I could here. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick review of me giving my thoughts on everything. It was a decent little show. It was a decent little follow-up from All In. So that's all I can really say. Hope you guys enjoyed. And hit that like button, subscribe, and see you all next time.